One of our favorite stops on Route 66 was the little town of Seligman, Arizona. While we were there, we knew that this was the inspiration for the movie Cars, so we thought we'd stop at Angel and Wilma's. And while we were there, we took a seat in his barbershop, and his employee Mauricio was more than happy to give us a little bit of the history of the town and how the movie Cars came about with a little bit of Angel's inspiration.
Angel retired at 95 years old. He did straight razor shaves and haircuts for 75 years. Yeah, so up until about 3 years ago, you could have got yourself a haircut or a shave. Yeah. So he's recently retired. So Angel is responsible for bringing back and restoring Route 66. And I'll get into that and the movie Cars and how all that correlates with each other. Because John Lasseter, he's the one that formed the company Pixar, came in and interviewed Angel in 2001 to get the storyline and the ideas for the movie Cars. They interviewed him actually for a few days. He's on the bonus features, but it's just a snippet of the hours of footage that they actually have of that interview. And so at one time, 9,000 cars were traveling Route 66 on any given day. This is how America traveled. It was amazing. He had a business here, a barbershop, full hall. Things are going great. 1978, they knew the interstate was coming, but they didn't know that it would be devastating to this little town. Angel is the same age as Route 66, and he was born on Old Route 66, one block south of us. And so he grows up back in the Old West in the 1920s for some buggies, Model A's, Model T's, the 1930s cars, 40s, 50s, electric cars today. And so what happens is the interstate comes, and that afternoon, not a single car. He said that like travelers, like ducks take to water, once one person opened up on that interstate, everybody started to travel it. And rightly so, this is a two-lane highway. So if you can imagine 9,000 cars, if you're behind 50 cars, you are behind 50 cars, And back then, people weren't rude or anything like that. If you had a flat tire, they didn't just lean on the horn, and they would get out, help you, push you off to the side because there was no shoulder. As you're traveling, you'll see some of these things that how people traveled back then. So we needed that interstate, but we didn't need it to be devastating to our little community. And the economy shuts down for years. And to live without an income for 15 years for a family, very difficult. It's poverty. This becomes a ghost town overnight. The Delgadeals stay here, they're thinking people will return to the Mother Road. But they don't. Ka-chow, the need for speed. And so all the damage is not being repaired. The federal government in 1985 decided we were going to focus our federal funds on the growing infrastructure of the interstate system. And so they decommissioned Route 66, left it for the states, but the states didn't want to do anything for it. And again, in their defense, these bridges are from the 1920s. They're too narrow. To get them up to interstate standards was just too big of an expense. So they decertified it at the same time. It means Route 66 is not allowed to be on it because they don't know what sections are going to be damaged, what bridges are going to be drivable. And so they remove all the signs, and our little town gets erased from maps. If you look at the federal mapping system, we are not located on there. Yeah, and that's when he knew nobody's going to get to come to his town. So I need to do something about it. And so it was full of potholes and damage. And the reason why our little town gets erased from maps, they're not going to erase Chicago, Santa Monica, Flagstaff, Williams. They have enough population for their city taxes to pay for their 2 miles of Route 66 through the community and maintain it because it goes through the inner city. We are unincorporated, which means we don't have a city council or city taxes, right? And so a town of about 100 people to pay for 100 and some miles of Route 66 was not going to happen, right? We don't have the tax base to maintain all of this Route 66 road. And so we get erased, and in steps Angel, and they call him the Angel of 66, but that's his real name for saving it. He starts to try to get signage out there about Seligman, and he decides to form an association, and they don't take no for an answer, but they got a lot of no's, right? Not on the budget, not on this budget, not on the county budget. What he ends up doing is he starts to lobby to make Route 66 an historical highway right here, and he wins, right? And that's how we have the title of being the birthplace of historic Route 66. Once it became historic, like an old building, you can't just destroy it and willy-nilly put up a Walmart. What you have to do is you have to maintain it, and you have to preserve it, and you have to protect it. So once it became historic, Arizona was forced into resurfacing Route 66 again. And years later, the other states called him up. How did you do it? You told them. And now every state, all the 8 states, have a preservation effort of historic Route 66. And so when we had a celebration, a ribbon cutting, because we made it historic, we had a classic car show, back to the movie Cars. So Angel is not an actual character, but it's kind of like the idea of 2 characters. Doc is trying to explain to Lightning, because Lightning represents the interstate, right? The need for speed. He comes into Radiator Springs and he just chews up the road, old 66. Doc's trying to explain to him, as the older generation, he used to win piston cups, right? He used to be the fastest thing out there. You can learn something from the older generations, that it's okay to slow down a little bit. He tries to teach him to turn right, to drift left, right? And Lightning McQueen, he's young, he's got this, but he doesn't, right? He tries to do it and he messes up. And so when I say that he's like lightning, lightning's that power engine that helps the paver resurface Radiator Springs, right? And once that happens, him and Ramon, what do? They put on their classic car look. They go cruising low and slow. They turn the neon. It happens once a year in our town, the very first weekend of May. It's called our Fun Run. And we continue that celebration. And then you were asking about some of the inspiration for some of the other characters. In the movie, let's see, the Mater, the real Mater is in Galena, Kansas. They're taking pictures of vehicles and getting ideas. They meet a guy, and he's on the bonus features as well, by the nickname Tomater, and he was a NASCAR fan. And they asked him, "How'd you get that nickname?" And he said, "Well, when I was a kid, we had a pig farm, and I would feed a pig a tomato and then eat a tomato, feed another pig a tomato and then eat another tomato." And so when you start to get these nicknames and you start to look at these photos, right, things start to come together. I'm going to show you a picture of the real Mater in Galena, Kansas. I don't know how focused you want to get on that one, but right there. And this guy, he's a really good friend of ours. His name is Dean Walker, but they call him Crazy Legs. Why? He can rotate both of his legs completely backwards. And he said he gets the nickname Crazy Legs because when he goes to school, he can do that as a young boy. He's just born that way, triple jointed, whatever you want to call it. And his friend said, "I can't do that. You got crazy legs." So the nickname sticks. And that's his special ability, that he can rotate both of his legs completely backwards. Mater's special ability is what? He can drive backwards just as well as he can go forward, right? Pixar is fantastic about putting all of these ideas and inspirations together. The backdrop for Radiator Springs, I'm going to point you to that poster up there. The mountains in the background, that's in Amarillo, Texas. That's the Cadillac Ranch. Those are upside down fenders. So they are going across America on Route 66 and getting ideas and inspiration for all of these wonderful characters. Inspiration for Fillmore. Fillmore, there's a museum for him. It was inspired by a guy by the name of Bob Waldmeyer in Illinois. You can see his VW bus there. He used to live out here in Hackberry. That was his art studio, and he would come in and talk to Angel, and we would buy his artwork, and he would travel across Route 66 selling his artwork. And the inspiration for Fillmore is off of him. And Bob Waldmeyer was a vegan, and he didn't like the corporate stuff, right? And Fillmore, what does he drink? He doesn't drink petroleum, he drinks organic corn fuel. So they get all of these inspirations from meeting real people. They do a fantastic job.
So Radiator Springs was based off of this.
Yeah, they told us this is the closest you'll get to it, because this is where the whole story takes place, although they compile a lot of all of Route 66 into that wonderful make-believe town of Radiator Springs. It's a small town. This is what happened. We had car dealerships, and it segues into planes. We have a small little airport out there where Mater learns to fly in planes and stuff like that. So some of the other inspiring things. But yeah, it's it happened to the big cities as well, but not so much. They didn't need the economy. You know, these towns were doing fine. We needed the economy, and so that whole revitalization happened right here.
So we are from Missouri. We're from Hanover, Missouri.
Yeah,
and so we got on 66 at Lebanon, and we are going all the way to Oatman.
Nice.
So you know Jerry McClennan?
Absolutely.
So we
That
stopped.
is the best book out there.
So we stopped at his place. He gave us a really nice interview. That'll be on our channel. We stopped in Galena and went to the Gearhead Curios.
Yes,
Absolutely awesome. And we have been to a lot of stops along the way, so we're really excited about going to Oatman.
Absolutely.
So,
and
yeah.
this is the longest continuous stretch of uninterrupted Route 66. So once your tires touch, from here all the way to Kingman, 89 miles, you don't have to stop. You don't have to have a stoplight. You just, once your tires are on here, you just keep on going. And then after Kingman, from all the way down to Oatman to Topop Golden Shores, yeah, it's fantastic. It was a big undertaking, if you can imagine, trying to get this to be what it is today. Because they told them that they would not make from Kingman to Oatman or Topop Golden Shores historic until you got it up to state standards. So they had to do that. The 17 miles east of Seligman out here, we're not going to make it historic until you get it up to state standards. And so that was another undertaking. The signage, all of these things were a lot of no's. It's incredible. And now he's got proclamations from our governors, letters from the House of Representatives. We flew him to Washington, D.C. He got the National Preservation President's Award and different accolades over the years, John Steinbeck Award. There's a lot of stuff in there that, like I said, what you see today took years and years in the making. Yeah.
So Crazy Legs come around very often, or
Absolutely, yeah. He comes by, and he was here a few months ago, and I took him to the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
We had a great time. Yeah, absolutely.
And then Angel comes in every.
Yeah, this weekend is our. It's a like a homecoming.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Seligman Days. So everybody that's lived here, went to school here, or has family here, comes in for a big homecoming, if you will. And yesterday we had a bunch of events going on, and today everybody's kind of just, I guess, getting ready to pack up and go home.
You're right.
Yeah.
So
So
anyway,
we've got a lot of family visiting.
it's been wonderful talking to
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
I have one last question.
Sure.
Do you think you can take a little off the top?
You know what? I never learned.